Hello there, welcome back. Another episode on containers, and this time on stacking images. We had two previous videos where we did some simple things with creating images, uploading them in Azure, and create a container out of that. But we used a quite lame script there with lots of hard-coded values. So we're going to improve on that. And let me share my screen. So I have a fantastic drawing here. It's called stacking images. And on the left side, you see the developer. In this case, that's me. And I have a Visual Studio code open, and I have a Docker file there. Actually, I have a couple of them. And based on the Docker file, you can create an image, but you need a Docker engine for that, right? I have the Docker desktop installed on my system, so I can compile Windows and Linux images, and I can run them as well. And those images get compiled by the Docker engine via a Docker file, right? Command line, whatever. We use a script, but you can use a command line, whatever. And then we build a base image and a custom image. We're going to sort of stack them on top of each other. And those images will be saved in an Azure container registry, as you can see on the screen. Based on that information in that container registry, we have there a couple of images, right? Based on those images, we can create container instances. And we're going to do that. And what is the container instance doing in our case? Well, actually not much. It's running a PowerShell, Python, or a Bash shell script that's inside of one of the images. I know we can embed external data as well in a container, but that's not the scope for now. I am trying to show the concept of stacking images, right? Layering them on top of each other and reusing components. Um, so yeah, that's enough of the overview. I think we can actually go to the code and start demonstrating how this works.
So let's see how this layering works. So this is the base image. First, we're going to create the base image, and based on that image, we're going to create a custom image. Here I show the script we're going to use to create the containers and images and those kinds of things. As you can see, the resource group is empty inside of Azure. These are all the parameters that you see here on the screen, which are necessary for the script, like the container name and some switches there, as you can see, to create the ACR or not. Here we have some Docker related stuff, logging into the Azure container registry, doing Docker push and tag, those kinds of commands. And here we create a container group based on the switch, if we provide it or not. And based on that, we create a container. And then we also set the location back to the script location. That's the script. There are the switches based on that switch. So let's try to run the script if I can find it. There we go. So now we're creating the container registry and a base image. So let's go inside of Azure, see container registry. We have a repository there called base image. Inside of there we have latest and 1.0.0, and those are the same. Latest is also the latest version, right? So if you go to this Docker file, this one we just created that. There's a couple of scripts in there, as you can see here. Let's modify this one. Let's add some commands there and put a lower sleep timer. Let's create a new base image now based on that. Just imagine that we created a very advanced module, or we fixed a bug in the module that's used in the base image, and we're pushing that now to Azure. If you now refresh, we have a new version there, and the latest version is the same as the version we just compiled. So now we go to the custom image. So this will be based on the base image. Let's specify a version there, and actually, as you can see there, we can do latest as well, because we now have that, right? We always take the latest version there. That's fine. Then we have 3 scripts that you see there that get copied over to the image. And there we have the command line that's executed inside of the container. Let's deploy the first version of the custom image based on the base image. The Docker folder that you see there, that's the custom image that you see there on the left side. That's the name of that folder. So that's the logic inside of the script. And then based on that, it executes the Docker file in there. Let's create a custom image. Let's go to Azure. Let's check our repositories. We now have a custom image repository as well. And we have latest and 1.0.0. So that's as expected. Let's just, for the sake of the demo, compile another version of the custom image. We didn't change anything, but still. Just to show you, if you refresh it here, you see we have a new version there. And the latest is always the same as the latest one we uploaded. In this case, 1.0.1. Okay, and let's clear the screen. Let's now also create a container group and a container. We just created the image, but now we're going to create a container based on that image. And we call it custom container 001. I think that's fine. You can see here, still on 101. Now it's creating the container group based on that image, on the version we specified. And that's the start command that's generating that error that you see on the screen, but it's not important for now. Let's refresh. We now have a container instance as well. If you go to the container instance, we can go to containers and go to logs. There we can see I come from custom. That's a Python script. And that corresponds to our file that you see here. I come from custom Python. And it's not part of the base image. But let's go change something here in the base image as well. I come from the base image. We write that there, remove a couple of lines. Recompile the base image basically now. Create a new version of the base image. We just modified it. Imagine it's a real modification, right? Extending a module or something like that, you know. Let's go back to Azure. Let's check the container registry. Repositories. We will see the base image now. Still hasn't compiled, still busy there, as you can see. If you now go back, we see the latest version there, 1.0.2. Then we go to the Docker file there. We take the latest image again, the latest base image, but now we're going to run the modified PowerShell script we just modified. Run me.ps1, PowerShell. Okay. Let's try to create a new version there of the image and also update the container with the new image. I made a typo there. It needs to be PS1, but was not valid. I put PS there, not PS1. We can ignore this error. Let's go to the resource group, to the container instances. There we have a container. And if we go to the logs, we will see an error there, and that's as expected because that was still the PS file I tried to run, not the PS1. Let's start the container here quickly and see the results after that. Let's go to the logs again. And I will see doing heavy loads. I come from the base image and the output of the folder structure. That was the PowerShell script from the base image. Let's now run a Python script again, the custom.py that we already had. Create a new version again of the custom image, update the container again. Go to Azure, check the container, refresh, and now we see that Python I come from custom. That also works as expected. We just made that modification there, right? So that's it actually. So let's close this.
And that was it for the containers. For the stacking demo, let's share my screen once more. It's fantastic drawing that we have. I explained everything. I showed everything, right? Stacking images. We created a couple of custom images. We created a couple of base images, made some modifications in the code, those kinds of things. And in the next module, or in the next episode, we're probably gonna look at integration and perhaps some more sensible code examples. So for instance, perhaps we write a module that can send an email and that can send, write messages to the screen into a log file. And those kind of modules we will then combine into the base image, right? And then from a custom image, we can just run a very simple PowerShell script, for instance, that uses those modules, right? So you can basically add abstraction layers like you do in programming as well. So that was it. So I hope to see you in the next video about containers. So thanks for watching and see ya. Bye-bye.